Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for being with me here today. Super excited to share with you today another Analogue Productions Atlantic 75 release from the 1970s. Another fantastic album. This album was released originally in 1978. Foreigner, Double Vision. Fantastic album. Once again, from an era of my growing up years, mid to upper teens, just full of excitement, wonderful opportunities, wonderful experiences. Music really helps shape it really helps shape our lives, in particular the experiences. It really draws and brings back those great memories of the time. And boy, I tell you what, Double Vision was one of those albums that I just have such great memories of, just with the friends that we had at the time, the opportunities that were in front of us, and in particular, and most importantly, the experiences. Just bring back the greatest of all memories. Today we're going to talk about and see what Analogue Productions has done with Double Vision. We'll take a look and see what they have done. Of course, we're also going to take a look and we're going to compare it as we talk about some of the songs, and I've chosen just a few, not all of them, but I've chosen a few. I really wanted to choose them all because every one of them on the album, this is one of those albums that I would always play all the way through. It was an album that I always put on because a lot of the songs were all on the radio anyway, but it was an album that, to me, every song on the album was fantastic. We'll be comparing what Analogue Productions has done to a 1978 release, as well as to a 2011-2012 Mobile Fidelity release as well. And we'll talk about those albums when we get into it here in just a second. As always, if you like what you see, please go ahead and like and subscribe. But as always, the important part to me is always, please leave comments in the comment section below. Love hearing from you. Thank you so much for doing that. Certainly helps me out on my end. But really the important thing is that I get to know who you are. And it really is fun to correspond back and forth with you. Thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate that more than you'll ever know. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Now, of course, this album was originally released in 1978. What a great year it was, 1978. I believe it was a year before I graduated. I'm kind of telling you how old I am right there, right? But what a great year. The album was for Atlantic Records. It was mastered by George Marino. The Mofi version of the album, when it was released in 2011-2012, was mastered by Craig Wunderlich. And as we get into that comparison, this is an analog. They took the analog master tapes and went right to their analog console and lathe. There's no DSD, at least from what the Mobile Fidelity website says. There's no DSD digital part in this album. And we're going to talk a little about that when we get into doing the comparison. The Analogue Productions version of the album, pressed at QRP, dual 45 RPM albums, was mastered by Ryan K. Smith from the original master tapes. And so this was really done quite well right from the get-go. I think George Marino did a really nice job in mastering it. My 1978 pressing has always sounded good. I've always loved the sound quality of it. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about the album and see what we're getting quickly. We'll just take a quick peek at it. We'll take a look at some of the vinyl here in a moment as well. Here is the album cover. Once again, not to be a broken record, but you just can't make this stuff up because it's the truth. The album covers that Analogue Productions is doing, in my opinion, are second to none. I think they're just doing a fantastic job. There's the cover. Here is a quick look, a picture of the band on the inside. Sorry about that glare, I'm trying to get that so that it doesn't. Here is the back side of the album. My number is 801 on the album. Let's quickly take a look at the vinyl really quick. We'll just take a look at one of them. Of course, they're pressed at QRP, 180 gram. Here is side 2. Ryan K. Smith, of course, did the remastering and cut the lacquers for this Analogue Productions release. We'll talk about the sound quality. It sounds really, really good. Before I get into the sound quality, let me just quickly just tell you the band members that are in the band when this album was released. Now, as I've indicated to you, this is their second studio album. And if you recall, Analogue Productions has released Foreigner 4, which I believe was their fourth album, because Head Games is yet to be released on part of the Atlantic 75, and then of course their debut album just titled Foreigner. In the band at the time this album was released in '78 was Lou Graham, lead vocals and percussion, Mick Jones, lead guitar, backing vocals, acoustic piano, lead vocals, Ian McDonald, guitars, keyboards, reeds, and vocals, Al Greenwood, keyboards, Ed Gagliardi, bass and vocals, and Dennis Elliott on the drums. And I don't need to tell you, the Foreigner, they just a really unmistakable sound that they have, and that's what really, I think, set them apart as such a great rock and roll band. And I would classify Foreigner, and you guys may think differently, I think Foreigner is a little bit more, I wouldn't call them hard rock in any way, shape, or form. I'd call them classic rock, but more towards soft rock, even though, we start off with Hot Blooded, which is a pretty good rockin' song, right, on the album. But I would really kind of classify and pull that back, not as really, really hard rock, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Let's go ahead and start with the sound quality as we go through and talk about these songs. And I think I've picked maybe 6 tracks on the album. As we go through and talk about each one, we'll compare it to these other 2, and we'll kind of talk about that as we go along. Okay, let's start off with the first song on side 1, Hot Blooded, one of the biggest hits on the album for sure. It was just really a huge hit for the band when this album was released. And let me just maybe kind of tell you a little bit about what I've been doing prior to this Analogue Productions version of the album. Let me kind of tell you what I'd been doing in preparation of the arrival of this album. For about a week, maybe a week and a half, not solely, but off and on quite a bit, I was listening to these 2 pressings, the 1978 Atlantic pressing, and the 2011-2012 pressing on Mobile Fidelity. I just was listening to those 2 to kind of get a grips on what they sounded like, so when I got this album, I could do a pretty good assessment. And really what I'd done is discovered once again, going back and listening to this album, this fantastic album, is that the 1978 pressing was done very, very well right from the get-go. George Marino did a fantastic job of mastering it. It was well produced, very well recorded and mixed. Excellent, excellent sounding album. The Mobile Fidelity as well sounds very good. Craig Wunderlich did a great job. Listening to these 2 albums back and forth in preparation when I got this. So when I got the album, put on side 1, song 1, Hot Blooded. My first thing that I wrote in my notes, wow. I just put wow. Next level resolution. Absolutely stunning clarity and detail on everything, including the vocals were right front. They're right there in front, right perfectly positioned in the middle, right where they should be. It just sounds absolutely fantastic. Drums have excellent weight and definition. Guitars are clean and very well extended. I just was stunned at how good Hot Blooded sounded. I just thought, whoa, wow, this sounds incredible. In comparing that album to the 1978, let me just quickly show you, and you can see the difference in the cover. And here is, I'll just kind of give you a quick little look. Here is the 1978 pressing on Atlantic Records. It sounds really, really good, to be honest with you. It really does, until you compare it to the Analogue Productions. And the level of detail just isn't there. There's an immediacy, and I'm probably going to use that word a lot when I describe this album to you. There's just an immediacy that is felt and is present when you listen to this on the Analogue Productions version. The Mobile Fidelity, very, very nice pressing. I believe the Mobile Fidelity on this track improves on the original pressing slightly, probably due to the fact that the vinyl on the Mobile Fidelities is quite a bit lower in in the quiet noise floor level is lower on the Mobile Fidelity than it is on the 78 pressing, and that might have a lot to do with, but still yet, there's just really no comparison when you compare the Analogue Productions to either one. It's just not, it's just a completely different, immediate, noticeable, just the resolution is just palpable when you listen to it on the Analogue Productions in comparison to the others. Next song on side two, or excuse me, on side one, Blue Morning, Blue Day, yet another fantastic hit off the album. At least it was one of my favorite. I love this song, might be one of my favorite songs on the album. Probably is my favorite song on the album, to be honest with you. The guitar solo has absolute great detail and excellent top end extension. Drums are weighty with very, very good definition. Overall, the sound on the Analogue Productions is fantastic. The 78 pressing, well, and it does sound decent. It really and truly does. This is not a bad sounding album at all. But boy, in comparison, there just isn't that level of immediacy and just detail that you just don't have on the 1978 pressing, and very similar to the 2011-2012 Mobile Fidelity pressing. It sounds great. It sounds really good. Improves upon the 78 pressing slightly, but doesn't compare to the Analogue Productions version of the album. Moving over to side two. You're All I Am. Very, very nice track. Opening of the piano and drums are just fantastic, along with the vocals for sure. This is actually what I would call, in my opinion, a demo-worthy track. This track is absolutely stunning in detail, proper weight on the drums, just really, really overall detail, and top to bottom extension just sounds fantastic. Resolution is excellent. Compare that to the 1978 pressing. Once again, while good, it just isn't. It's very immediate and very obvious the differences between the 78 pressing and the Analogue Productions. It's just clean and sharp and well defined. Not that this is terrible, but it just is not. It's just really not on the same level. It just isn't. Similarity with the Mobile Fidelity. Mobile Fidelity, I think, improves on the 78 pressing, but it doesn't really get close to comparing with the Analogue Productions, at least through my system and through my ears. Side two, staying on side two, track two, Back Where You Belong, another one of the great songs on the album and a good hit off the album. Guitar at the opening of the song has just excellent definition. It's clean and very vibrant. Vocals are really three-dimensional on this track. Extending wide of your listening position. This is just a great song to listen to. The vocals, the harmonization is just incredible. I just didn't get that on the 78 nearly as well as I did on the Analogue Productions. The Mobile Fidelity slightly a little bit better, might just be to that quiet vinyl that the Mobile Fidelity album has over the 1978 pressing, but nowhere near what the Analogue Productions is. Moving over to side three, one of the big hits on the album as well, Double Vision. Fantastic, fantastic song. I don't think this song to me has ever sounded as good as it does on the Atlantic 75 Analogue Productions pressing. It's extremely dynamic and full of energy. Drums are nicely detailed with really good weight. Vocals are excellent and upfront, absolutely where they ought to be. Guitars are super clean and well defined. Once again, the 1978 pressing, very, very good. It really does sound very, very good. But when you do a direct comparison to the Analogue production, it really falls quite short, as does the Mobile Fidelity, as indicated, and all the rest of these. The Mobile Fidelity does improve on the 1978 pressing, mostly because of that quiet noise floor that the Mobile Fidelity album has, and it might be just slightly cleaner and a little bit better detailed, but here again, it's very noticeable, not really nearly as good as what we're getting on the Analogue Productions. Moving over to my favorite song, or probably my second favorite song on the album after Blue Morning, Blue Day. is Spellbinder. This is the last song on the side 4. Uh, this is a song that you absolutely must turn up. You got to turn the volume up on this. The the detail and the definition on this track, on this song, is just wonderful. It's a great song, no matter what pressing you're listening to it on. But boy, I tell you what, the Analogue Production just takes it to the next level. It's just excellent dynamics and detail on absolutely everything. Vocals is outstanding. Drums sound incredibly good. They are clean and they are well defined. Once again, it's just really not quite nearly as good, the 78 pressing, as the Analogue Productions is. The Mofi is a titch better than the 78 pressing, but absolutely not in the same class as the Analogue Productions. There's just an immediacy there on the Analogue Productions version of this album that is really quite stunning, that you just don't really hear, at least to me and through my ears and on my system, that you hear on these other two. Ryan K. Smith did a fantastic job of remastering, getting every little bit out of that original master tape. It was obviously recorded very well, and they've done a great job to extract out literally everything they possibly can to make this album sound absolutely wonderful. Of course, it's a 45 RPM. That's adding to the quality of the sound that we're hearing. I get it. Analogue Productions vinyl is super quiet, so that there is another reason why they just sound so darn good. In conclusion, and I'll rank these albums as well. I think I already have, and you could probably know that, but we'll do it anyway. I think really Analogue Productions, as part of the Atlantic 75 series, has hit yet another home run, as they have done with the previous 2 Foreigner albums that they've released. I think they're all stunning. They were recorded well to begin with, and Analogue Productions is doing a great job in remastering them and getting them out to us on vinyl. I think they just done a great job. When I sit down and listen to this initially, like I said, wow, it was very immediate, very obvious, the quality that has been pressed on this Analogue Productions version. Ranking the albums is pretty easy. In third place would be the very good 1978 pressing, followed by the 2011-2012 Mobile Fidelity pressing. Neither one of them are slouches. They're good pressings. If you've got them, you'll know what I'm talking about. They sound good. But in all honesty, they just don't stack up, at least with my ears and through my system, to the new Analogue Productions pressing that Ryan K. Smith mastered. It was just absolutely incredible. Highly recommended. Love Foreigner if it's a group that you're loving, a group that you really like, and you like this album, Double Vision. You know what? I'll just tell you right now, this is the definitive copy of it. This is the best that you're going to hear this album. Foreigner, Double Vision, Analogue Productions is part of the Atlantic 75 series. Fantastic release. Absolutely a great pressing. Thank you so much for being with me here today. Please leave comments in the comment section below. Have a wonderful, great day.